There's nothing wrong with your financial decisions. You're not reckless. You're not living beyond your means. You probably feel like you're doing everything reasonably well. And that's exactly why the math doesn't work. You have a job that pays you fairly. You rent or own a place that feels appropriate for your income. You buy groceries, pay for insurance, contribute to retirement. You're not extravagant. You're not careless. You've internalized the advice. You're living the lifestyle that society designed for people exactly like you. But something stops adding up. Not this year, not even in 5 years. The failure doesn't announce itself early. It happens later, far enough out that most people never run the numbers all the way through, far enough out that it feels theoretical until suddenly it isn't. This video will not tell you to stop buying coffee. It will not predict economic collapse. It will not lecture you about discipline. What it will do is walk you through the arithmetic of a completely normal life and show you exactly where the system quietly breaks. Not because you made mistakes, but because the lifestyle everyone treats as baseline sustainable actually requires income and appreciation rates that most people will never see. By the end of this video, you'll understand why doing everything right still leaves you short. Not opinions, not doom, just math and timelines. Let's start with what normal actually looks like. The lifestyle we're examining isn't luxury. It's what most educated professionals consider reasonable. A one-bedroom apartment in a mid-tier city, a reliable car or consistent transportation costs, health insurance with a deductible you can theoretically afford, internet, phone, utilities, groceries from a standard supermarket, occasional meals out, maybe a streaming service or two, a gym membership or hobby you actually use, clothes when you need them, not when you want them. This is not indulgence. This is the life you're supposed to be able to afford if you have a degree and a stable job. This is what your parents assumed you'd have by 30. This is what employers factor in when they set salary bands. And if you're living this life right now, you probably feel fine. Maybe a little tight some months. Maybe you wish you could save more, but nothing feels broken yet. That's important. Nothing feels broken yet. The problem isn't that this lifestyle is unaffordable today. The problem is that it becomes unaffordable over time while still looking exactly the same. Let's put numbers to it. Let's assume you live in a city where a modest one-bedroom apartment costs $1,800 per month. Not Manhattan, not San Francisco, somewhere normal. $1,800 is 78% of what someone earning $50,000 per year takes home monthly after taxes, state taxes, and payroll deductions. That already doesn't work. So let's assume you earn $70,000, more realistic for someone with a college degree and 5 years experience. $70,000 becomes roughly $4,500 per month after federal taxes, state taxes, and payroll deductions. The apartment takes $1,800. You have $2,700 left. Car payment or transportation, $350. Insurance for health and auto, $400. Utilities, phone, internet, $250. Groceries, $400. Gas or transit, $150. Minimum student loan payment, $280. We're at $2,630. You have $70 left. You haven't bought clothes. You haven't gone to a dentist. You haven't replaced anything that broke. You haven't seen a friend. You haven't saved a single dollar. And this assumed no credit card debt, no medical event, no car repair, no wedding to attend, no gift to buy, no trip home for a holiday. So you adjust. You find a roommate. You skip the car. You eat cheaper food. You make it work. And it does work, for now. But here's what happens next. Your salary will grow, but not the way you think it will. The average annual raise in the United States for the last decade has been around 3%. In good years, maybe 4%. If you switch jobs strategically, you might get a 10 or 15% bump once or twice in your career. Let's be generous. Let's say you start at $70,000 and over the next 15 years, you increase your income to $95,000. That's a real improvement. That's doing well. But your rent didn't stay at $1,800. Rent increases average 4 to 5% per year in most markets. Over 15 years, $1,800 becomes $3,200. Your car got older and more expensive to maintain, then you had to replace it. Insurance premiums climbed. Groceries cost more. Your student loans are still there, or they're finally gone, but now you're helping a parent or a sibling. And at some point, you want to stop renting. You want to own, because that's what financial security is supposed to look like. So you save for a down payment. Let's say you manage to put away $500 a month for 4 years. That's $24,000. In most cities, that's enough for a down payment on a small condo or a starter home if you're willing to stretch. Your mortgage might actually be close to what you were paying in rent, But now you also pay property taxes, HOA fees, maintenance, repairs, the things that don't show up in the rent calculation. Your income went up, your costs went up faster, and you still haven't built wealth. You've built a lifestyle that requires continuous income to sustain, which brings us to the part everyone gets wrong. You've been told that investing solves this. Max out your 401k, buy index funds, let compound interest work. And that advice isn't wrong, it's just incomplete. Let's say you start investing at 25. You contribute 6% of your salary to your retirement account, and your employer matches 3%. That's 9% total. On a $70,000 salary, that's $6,300 per year. The historical stock market returns 7% per year after inflation. Let's use that. After 40 years, at age 65, you'll have $1.2 million. That sounds like a lot. That sounds like success. But you're 65. You're not working anymore. You need that money to last 30 years. Financial advisors recommend withdrawing 4% per year to avoid running out. 4% of $1.2 million is $48,000 per year. You were earning $95,000 before you retired. Your lifestyle was built for $95,000, and now you have $48,000. You downsize, you move somewhere cheaper, you cut costs, you make it work. But here's the question no one asks. Why did you spend 40 years contributing to a system that gave you half your income in return? And that's still assuming everything went according to plan. Assuming you never had a medical emergency that wiped out your savings, assuming you never stopped working to care for someone, assuming you never got laid off during a recession and had to pull from retirement early, assuming the market didn't crash the year you retired. Most people don't get 40 uninterrupted years of contributions. Most people don't get employer matches. Most people have gaps. And even if you do everything perfectly, the math only works if you accept a significant lifestyle reduction at the exact moment you have the least ability to recover from it. This isn't failure. This is the design. The reason this doesn't feel broken is because the consequences are slow. When you're 30, retirement is abstract. You can't visualize 65. You don't feel the gap yet. When you're 40, you're busy. You have responsibilities. You assume you'll catch up later. When you're 50, you start running the numbers and realize you're behind. But you're also tired, and the gap is big enough now that closing it would require a level of sacrifice that feels impossible. So you adjust your expectations. You tell yourself you'll work longer. You tell yourself you don't need as much as you thought. You tell yourself your kids won't need help. You tell yourself it'll be fine. And maybe it will, but maybe is not a plan. The system survives because it breaks slowly, slowly enough that each stage feels manageable, slowly enough that you never see the full picture until you're standing in it. And by then, your options have narrowed. This is not about blame. This is not about calling anyone foolish. This is about recognizing that a lifestyle that feels normal, that society endorses, that financial institutions depend on, requires sustained income growth and asset appreciation that most people do not experience. And when enough people don't experience it, the system doesn't collapse, it just recalibrates. Standards drop, expectations lower, retirement ages extend, multi-generational households return. We call it adaptation, but it's not adaptation. It's adjustment to a math problem no one wanted to solve. Here's what makes this especially difficult. The lifestyle we've described isn't painful, it's comfortable. You're not struggling in an obvious way. You have a roof, food, transportation, health care. You're doing better than billions of people on this planet. And that comfort makes it hard to see the problem, because the problem isn't now. It's 20 years from now, 30 years from now. You're living in a window where the math still holds, where income covers expenses, where incremental progress feels real, but the window closes, not dramatically, gradually. And the longer you stay comfortable in the present, the less room you have to maneuver in the future. This is not a call to live in fear. It's a recognition that comfort in your 30s and 40s can become restriction in your 60s and 70s, not because you were reckless, because the baseline lifestyle you were taught to consider reasonable never penciled out over a full lifetime. Let's be clear about what this video is not saying.
It is not saying you should panic. It is not saying the economy will collapse. It is not saying previous generations had it easy. It is not saying you should abandon all planning and live for today. What it is saying is this: the lifestyle that feels normal, that society treats as the expected standard for educated professionals, quietly requires financial outcomes that most people will not achieve. Not because they're lazy, not because they're undisciplined, but because wage growth, asset appreciation, and cost inflation have diverged in ways that make the old models unsustainable for the majority. You can still retire, you can still build security, but it will require either earning significantly more than average, spending significantly less than normal, or accepting significantly less than you expected. Those are the three paths, and most people don't consciously choose one. They drift between all three, hoping it balances out. Sometimes it does, often it doesn't. So, what do you do with this information? You could try to earn more. That's the most repeated advice. Get promoted, switch jobs, start a side business, and for some people that works. You could try to spend less, move to a cheaper city, live with roommates longer, drive an older car, and for some people that too. Or you could accept that the finish line moved, that the retirement your parents had might not be the retirement you get, that financial independence might mean something different for your generation than it did for theirs. None of these options feel satisfying because they all require confronting the fact that doing what you were told to do, living the life you were told was reasonable, doesn't produce the outcome you were promised. And that's uncomfortable, but it's also clarifying. Because once you see the math, you stop blaming yourself for not saving enough. You stop feeling guilty for not investing more aggressively. You stop thinking one more promotion will fix everything. You start asking different questions. Not what am I doing wrong, but what was I told that isn't true? And that question leads somewhere useful. The lifestyle everyone normalized is not reckless. It's not extravagant. It's not a moral failing. It's just mathematically incompatible with the income and appreciation rates most people experience over a lifetime. And the system doesn't fail loudly. It doesn't collapse. It just quietly shifts expectations downward while pretending the standards stayed the same. You notice it when your parents can't actually retire at 65, when your friends with good jobs still have roommates at 35, when people who did everything right still feel like they're behind. The math doesn't lie, it just waits, and by the time it's obvious, it's late. If this changed the way you see your own financial trajectory, consider subscribing. This channel exists to walk through the numbers everyone assumes, but no one checks. No hype, no shortcuts, just math and the space to think about it clearly. Thanks for watching.